Well, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh, let's try again. Good morning. Now we're talking. And can you believe it? The sky's actually kind of blue today. Yay. Maybe we don't have the worst air in the world. Good Lord. Welcome to Althea. Welcome to our Sunday service today. And we have a terrific service for you all. Part of our welcome is we like to know who's here for the first time. Anyone? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, okay. Thank you for coming and sharing your day with us today. We do have a flower for you. Give them a big hand. That's great. Thank you so much that you decided to actually come here and spend some time with us today. If you are so inclined, we do have a place where you can sign up to get the email, which is the best way to be alerted about what's happening here. And there's always a lot of things happening. So thank you so much for coming. Let's see. I don't see her, so I'll do it later. Okay. Let's start off with an opening prayer. That's a good place to start. So as you are comfortable, just close your eyes. And just breathe at your own leisure, your own volition. It's always kind of nice to just breathe in and hold it for a second or two and just slowly exhale. Because when we breathe in that energy that animates who we are, the very air that we breathe. And because we are all one on this planet, when we exhale, we are giving life to all of the greenery on this planet. So there is this cycle of life. And each and every one of you are an integral part of it. One of the first things I try to remind myself of is that there is only one and that there is no separation, secondly. Because if there is only one, there can be no separation from it. This power, this force of love, of energy, of life, of laughter and learning is within each and every one of us. And when we recognize that in each other, not just within these walls, but outside in the real world, we see the face of Spirit, the face of God, the face of Allah, of Buddha, of Yahweh, of the Great Spirit. For all is one. All is one. And so as each of us thinks about, goodness, what it took to get here today, and what's awaiting us, what are we going to have for lunch, and why aren't the Broncos playing today? As we just think about our day, let us know that here, for this time, we replenish ourselves with that love and that energy to go out through these doors and greet the world. And greet it we do with life and love and joy and just being. And on some level, each and every one of us, I know, appreciates this experience, no matter what's going on in life, the stresses, the strains, the relationships, the employment, the finances. But on some level, all of that, we can just let go for the time being and trust that there is always an answer in the divine mind of Spirit. Always. We just focus on that. And I know each and every one of us in our own ways is so grateful for this breath that we breathe, for this life. Grateful that we have this place called Althea to come. Grateful that it is so welcoming to any and everyone. And it is just a wonderful place of heart and love, and a way maybe not to escape the world, but to come here and replenish our energy, as I said, to face it once again. And so I simply bless each and every one of us here, and in this city, and in this state, and in this country, and in this world, knowing that this energy extends way beyond these walls. And I know each and every one of us in our own way just lets go, just lets go, just breathes and exhales and finds that divine relaxation that is our birthright. And we trust in the absolute truth of spirit and the joy that it brings us. For it is nothing but love. Amen, and so it is. All right. We have a wonderful friend of Althea's who is our musical entertainment today, Michael Stanwood. Give him a round of applause. Yes, you're on.
On. Good. Rick's words made me remember a retreat with Thich Nhat Hanh and a mantra that they had called breathing in, I calm my mind and my body. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing in, I feel the Buddha within me. I can rest for a while. I've only changed one word. I just say, in breathing in, I feel the presence within me. I can rest for a while. We're not all Buddhists. Breathing in, I calm my mind and my body. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I feel the presence within me. I can rest for a while. Breathing in, I calm my mind and my body. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I feel the presence within me. I can rest for a while. Breathing in, I calm my mind and my body, and you're welcome to sing. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I feel a presence within me. I can rest for a while. Breathing in, I calm my mind and my body. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I feel the presence within me. I can rest for a while.
Thank you, Michael. It's like having our own Willie Nelson, isn't it? I think he's better. Fabulous. All right, it's time for our message today from Shaun Furlong. And he's an ordained minister. He was a pioneer in the advent of electronic music in the early 70s and 80s. Switched on Bach. Does that ring a bell to anybody? Loved it. That was kind of my introduction to the classics. In between an introduction to a few other things, but we won't go there. Working in the recording studio as a musical innovator with such legends as Ringo Starr, Billy Joel, The Carpenters, Smokey Robinson, Seals and Croft, Johnny Nash, I can see clearly now, right? Little Feat, Van Dyke, Parks, and many more. Reverend Shaun is currently the founder and spiritual director of Blackbirds Rising, so please help me welcome with his message, Let Your Soul Soar, Shaun Furlong.
It's the only reason I came here today, so I get to take the mask off. Well, first of all, I would like to begin by just offering some thanks. Thank you all for inviting me out here. This is a very special place for me. I'm just checking my messages. You don't mind checking. I'm actually putting this in airplane mode so that I don't have to check any messages. But I don't want to go over. I know we only have about 4 hours for this talk, so I want to make sure. This is a very, very special place for me. I want to tell you a little bit about, but first of all, how I got here, you know, how I ended up here today and what my little journey was that got me here. But also, I'm going to tell you some things that you might not know about this very building and some history that is very interesting. I live in Pueblo, which, you know, it's about a 2-hour drive here, there. And for a while, I was a minister at the church in Pueblo, the Pueblo Divine Science Church. This originally was a Divine Science Church. In fact, this was the first Divine Science Church of Denver. And it was built, this building was built in 1922, and I understand it was paid for in about 9 months. But the Divine Science organization had been going strong since the end of that previous century, just before the turn of the century into 1900. And eventually they grew enough to where they needed this building. And it is, as you've seen, and as we all know, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous building. But there were three sisters who lived in Pueblo in the late 1800s. There was Nona Brooks and her two sisters, Althea Brooks and Fanny Brooks. And by the end of in the late 1800s there, they had one by one begun moving here. They became very interested in what was at that time referred to as mental science. Now today, that's called New Thought. And there are a few denominations, religious science, divine science, unity, and a lot of independents that are New Thought type churches, centers. But the very first New Thought churches were built by the divine science people. And eventually that entire movement was run from this building, the stage. And by the 30s, there was a divine science minister by the name of Emmett Fox. You may have all heard of Emmett Fox or familiar with his works. And at that time, that was the largest church gathering in the world. Not the largest New Thought gathering, but they had to meet at Carnegie Hall, and there were upwards of 5,000 people every Sunday there. So the beginning of this New Thought movement was quite something, and it's still going strong today. But so much has changed in church, in the church world, between just the last 100 years, I'd say, but especially just in the last few decades. And I'm here to tell you that this particular center, Althea, is on the very cutting edge of the very future of what church is all about. So I am, again, very grateful, thankful to be asked to speak here. And it's a very important building. But what's going on here is important, and I'll tell you why. Every couple of years, the Pew Research people put out information on the state of what they call the state of religion in America. And what they really mean is the state of traditional Christianity in America. And if you haven't been paying attention, it is tanking like you can't believe. And the reason for that is it just simply hasn't evolved along with the rest of the consciousness of where people who are doing personal spiritual work, what they want to know about it. Well, I'm not knocking anybody. If you, wherever you go, where you find your connection, you recognize your connection to the Spirit, to God, to all those names that were given at the beginning of this talk today, this service. For God's sake, stay there. Gandhi believed it was immoral and unethical to convert a person from one religion to another. So what's great about this place is it's not a part of anything except that consciousness. So wherever you are on your spiritual path right now, wherever you're looking for what you're looking for, I got two things to say, and then I'll get into the meat of the talk. The first one is, you already have it. You've already found it. You may not recognize it, but wherever you go, there it is. The second thing is, you could not come to a better place than this center and what's going on here to find your own way to the recognition of the Spirit within you. So the way I got here was somebody told me, have you been to Althea? Now this is, I don't know, years ago. And I said, what's an Althea? By the way, at that time I couldn't spell divine science. I didn't know the first thing about it. So they said, oh, you got to go. And at that time, of course, Jonathan was here. Jonathan Ellerby, bless his heart. We love Jonathan. And he, they said, you got to see this guy there. And I said, well, is he the minister there? And they said, well, he's not the minister. Oh, well, is it a divine science church? Well, you know, it's not a divine science church. Well, is it New Thought? Well, you know, it's not. I said, okay, I get it. But they said something very interesting. You just got to go. Just go. About a week later, somebody else came up to me in a completely different set of circumstances and said, hey, have you been to Althea yet? Yeah, I said, you mean that church? Yeah, well, it's a center, but yeah, it's over there on 14th and Williams. I said, that sounds familiar, but no, I haven't. I haven't been there. Well, you got to go. And I said, well, why? What's the deal there? Well, you know, you know, it's not like, you know, you can't. Can you give me the elevator speech? 20 seconds? What is this place all about? No. You just gotta go. Okay. Literally 10 days after that, my spiritual mentor, he's right here, Richard, over there. Say hi, Richard, so they don't throw you out by mistake. He says, have you been to Althea yet? I said, no, but I've heard about it. That's the one that's downtown. He said, yeah. And I said, well, what's the deal? Why is everybody so excited about it? And he said, you just gotta go. Well, if he had been the first person to tell me that, I would have come, because whatever he tells me to do, I go do it, or you know, later on I wished I had. So I came and I heard Jonathan's talk. But when I walked through the doors and I came in here right away, first of all, before I got, as I'm driving and I got, you know, I'm on 14th or something, I'm driving along and I said, I know this place, 14th and Williams. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's that old Divine Science Church. I'll be darned. I had been here before when it was Divine Science. And I'm not knocking anybody, but I'm telling you right now, this is a lot more better, a lot different. So when I tell you that this place is on the very cutting edge of where the consciousness of individual spirituality is going, which includes the internet, which includes the world, it's a much bigger venue we all have now because of the internet. You could be in New Zealand and attend an Althea service, yes? In fact, I would be surprised if people do. So eventually, after I came here and I attended that service, and it wasn't anything like what happened before, again, you know, the Seinfeld words, not that there's anything wrong with that. That's how I got here. Shortly thereafter, I answered an email. Someone was looking for a speaker in Pueblo. At that time, I was living here. I was living in Lakewood. And I go around and I speak, and so I said, yeah, sure. It's a Divine Science Church in Pueblo. Okay, it's New Thought, I can do that. Everything changed from that yes, that answer. Before long, I was the minister there. The way I look at things changed dramatically. All of you I know have had that experience, where suddenly there's a point where your life, your life was one way before, and whether that was good or bad or whatever it was different now. So that happened to me. There was a depth of my own personal spirituality. Don't forget, I'm the minister there. So, and then I became friends with Jonathan. We're still friends, still connect frequently. And he is still on the cutting edge of where things spiritually are going, where he went. But I tell you all of that because I want you to know that I'm going to ask you to, in a minute, to completely reserve whatever thoughts that you have, to completely set them aside. Any predisposition you may have to me, to this place, to spirituality itself, but certainly to the concept of self-inquiry. How many people here know, or have heard at least, of what self-inquiry is? You know? How many of you practice it? Very, very good. Excellent. Well, that was my next big shift. When I learned about self-inquiry, because Richard told me about it. And, you know, I should just say, you know, I'm ready for another shift, Richard. What do I do now? You know. But anyway, I made the shift to this incredibly simple and extremely potent practice. And if you talk to people about it, by the way, this is a clue I'm about to give you. If you talk to people about it and you try to describe it, you'll mostly be saying what it is not. Just like this place. Well, is it meditation? Well, it's not meditation, you know. You go down that path. So, This building, this is an historic building. And speaking from this stage feels, for me, in many ways, kind of a full circle moment at this time in my life. Had some health challenges in the last year, 18 months, all kinds of things. But, you know, those things happen as we go through big changes. Self-inquiry is a very, very simple thing. But how many of us know simple is not the same as easy? Anything spiritually. If it's not simple, you're doing it wrong. Okay, because it's for all of us, whatever it is. So, self-inquiry, it's to tell you about self-inquiry so that you understand it a little bit. You really have to know a little bit about Hinduism. The truth is, you don't really have to know anything about Hinduism. But it's nice to know where this thing came from. Because it isn't a fad. It's not something that showed up 10, 20, 50 years ago. It's been around for longer than we literally know, as is Hinduism. None of us know where Hinduism came from, because the history of writing things down really only began about 2,000 years before the birth of Jesus. So that's where you get the Torah, and you get now they're talking about things that happened a long time ago, but they wrote it down in about that time period. The same thing is true with Hinduism. We don't know who the founders are. In fact, it's the only world religion that we don't know who the founders are. We don't know who put it together, and we don't know when it started. Hinduism has been around, some say, as long as 8,000 years. So we don't really know, but it's a very long time. In fact, it was so long ago that when the British first came, the British explorers first came to the area that is now India, you know, that whole area, and asked them what the name of their cities or towns or, you know, what was this called, they did not know how to answer it because they did not use labels. It is a deep spiritual truth that when you label something, you make it small. Which is why the Jews don't like to say certain words out loud. They don't like the name of God being spoken or even written. Because, and when asked, according to the story, what did God say? I am that I am. Now get out of here. I may have a different version of the Bible then. So what's interesting about this particular practice of self-inquiry is it was put together by a fellow named Sri Ramana Maharshi. I always thought it was Maharishi, but it's Maharshi. And the interesting story about this is that he lived in a cave, literally lived in a cave. At 15 years old, he had an experience near death, one of those experiences. And it did change him. But by the time he was 30, he was very well known. People would come from all over to this cave that he lived in. And he did not speak. Not because of any particular spiritual thing, unless it was deeply personal to him, and I'm sure that was. It wasn't a practice. He just didn't do it. So you had to kind of ask him yes or no questions to find out the answers to things. In that process, he taught something called self-inquiry. And his answers to the yes or no questions were converted into a small booklet. Now, this is like 1900. And that booklet was called Self-Inquiry, and he kind of became the Wayne Dyer of his time. That book became the Think and Grow Rich of its age. Little tiny thing. But it doesn't, remember, it's simple. And so they couldn't print them fast enough. They were translated in multiple languages. All over the world, these books were shown up and shared with others. And it changed an awful lot of people's lives. So one thing I want to say about self-inquiry before we go on too much further is that it is something that you must experience. Remember how I said words make things small, but some things cannot be described with words. They are experiential. You have to experience them. You know, right now on this planet, there are about, and I don't know, the numbers vary, I tried to research it, but certainly millions, if not billions of people on this planet of ours who've never had a warm bath. Now, if you were able to get on your phone and talk to one of these people and describe a warm bath, I don't know how long the conversation would be. If it took you a day, when you were done, they still would not know what a warm bath is. But in 30 seconds after the end of that phone call, if they stuck their naked butt in a warm bath, no more words would be necessary. Because at that time, the shared experience would bring you together with that person. And when one of you said, you know, a warm bath, the other person would nod knowingly. And that's it. That's the power of experience and the weakness of words. So what I want to do right now is take you on a quick trip. I'm from the 60s, so everything is a trip. I'll do a little journey inward. If you would like to, if you feel comfortable in closing your eyes, I will ask you in a minute to do that, but you don't have to. And what I want to do is I want to just dip your toe in the water of the warm bath and give you some of the experience of self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is very much as it says, it is a way for you to look for things inwardly and not outwardly. And the main thing you're looking for is the self. You're shocked, I know. But you're inquiring about self, and I'm going to say that self with a capital S. Because there's a part of each one of us. When at the beginning of the service, it was said, we're all one, and God is within all of us, etc. The things that probably all of you believe in one way or another. When that was spoken, those are just words. That experience of the divine within us, only each one of us can know, and yet it's a shared experience. When I tell you about my experience with the divine, even if it's different, you will have had a completely similar, different experience. So we're going to go and do that right now. There are only a few prerequisites. You can leave your clothes on. The only thing is, as I said earlier, put aside any preconceived any notions you have of what it might be, or if it's Hindu, what it might look like, or put all of that aside. One step further, put everything aside that happened to you this morning on your way here. You are here now. Before that, you don't have to forget it, but for the moment, just put it aside. Also, any anxiety, any concern, any thoughts you may have about the future, what follows this service, put that aside. And just be completely here in the now. And I'm going to show you how hard it is to empty your mind. Go ahead, close your eyes. And at this point, what I would like you to do is to let your mind not think of anything. Now, do not try to make your mind not think of anything. Allow your mind to not think of anything. No thoughts. If a thought arises, that's okay. Just allow it to flow away. If another one pops up, just allow it to throw away. Just flows away. And imagine yourself with no thoughts. Okay, that's enough. Return to your present state of being with us in this room. Did you find it easy or difficult? Some of you have done practice, maybe some meditation, so it wasn't too hard. But most of us, in our waking hours, we find that very difficult. Now, after this, I'm going to do a little workshop, a little Q&A, and we'll go into some more depths, and also talk to you about how you can go deeper into this practice of self-inquiry. But I will tell you that if you practice it, and practice is important, you must do it every day. It's experiential, so you cannot learn it until you learn it. And it will change your life. Now, if it ends up not changing your life and none of this means anything to you, I still think you should come back to this church. All right. How do you let your soul soar? And what do I mean by that? So I'm going to go through each of those 4 words very quickly and we'll wrap up. Let your soul soar forward. The first word is let. I always find it interesting that in the beginning of the traditional Judeo-Christian Bible, in this case the book of Genesis, when God creates the world, he doesn't work at it very hard. He doesn't put a team of advisors together. He doesn't get a bunch of tools put together for him. He does not even do an environmental impact study. What does God do? He lets. He allows. You see, there's a flow of creation already in place, already everywhere in the universe. It's just ongoing right now. We don't make anything. We let it happen. But we like to fool ourselves. Quick example. In each one of your homes where you live right now, I imagine you have a kitchen with a faucet. And you are such a powerful being as this human that when you go into the kitchen and you turn that faucet on, water, you make it flow. And when you turn it the other way, it stops. You are just so powerful. What's happening there is that water is already flowing. The only thing you can do is stop it up. The only thing we humans can do to this flow, that is the nature of everything in the universe, is stop it from flowing. So when I say let your soul soar, I don't say make your soul soar. Train your soul to flow. There's no doing in it. There's a being in it. It's already flowing. All you need to do is step out of the way, and you don't even have to turn a faucet. The next word, your. We just experienced just a taste of that just a moment ago. But who are you? If I ask any one of you individually, who are you? You'll probably give me your name. And we can go deeper into it and talk in many different ways about that. Who are you? Are you your job? Are you your family? Who are you? Well, you are an empty mind. You are a mind without thought. And I know that goes contrary to what a lot of us think, especially about spiritual things. Change your thinking, change your life. Well, what if that's not exactly true? Any more than make the water flow is the correct way to look at it. You are an eternal being. All you can really do is be. But in the material world, we do lots of stuff. And after a while, it has polluted us. So stay with me, because you want to talk about paradigm shifts. This is a whole new way of looking at yourself. Which brings us to the next word, soul. That's that you that we're talking about. It is distinct, it is individual. It is eternal. Nothing about your soul is temporary. Everything about the material world is temporary. In fact, that is the distinguishing thing, the difference between the consciousness realm and the material realm. All the consciousness does is observe. It is able to, without effort, to see, to perceive what's going on in the material world. But it is not a part of the material world. Consciousness does not take up space. It cannot be measured. Scientists have been trying to do that for a long time. They're still trapped somewhere in the brain. So, what's this soul? Well, that's where you and the eternal consciousness, the divine being, whatever word you want to use for it, because there is no word in itself beyond I am that I am. That's where you and it are the same. Your soul. You are an individualized expression. You're a drop of water compared to the ocean. Water is water, but one is a drop, has all the same qualities as the ocean, but then there's the ocean. They are the same, but completely different. Soar. How do you soar? Anybody ever seen a bird soar, especially a large bird like an eagle or a hawk or any of these predators? They just do it. They just soar. And it has become the very image of freedom, of liberty to us humans. Not just in the United States, everywhere. A soaring bird. It could be a dove. It doesn't matter. But at that point, that bird is not doing anything. It has caught the wind that is already flowing. And it has spread its wings and let itself soar. Now, when you do that, when you let your soul soar, your life will be completely different, I promise. And again, I know it sounds a little bit repetitive. It doesn't have anything to do with your thinking. That's why it hasn't been done much throughout human history. You know, I'm a New Thought guy. And so I come from the land of change your thinking, change your life. You know, I'm a Wayne Dyer dude. But you can't change your thinking. Your thinking has literally nothing to do with you. Okay, nobody got up, I must be okay. All I ask is that you be with this for a while. If it turns out that you just don't feel the truth of this, you don't, in this practice, that doesn't become your reality, that's okay. But I do want you to consider it because it is shifting. You see, your thoughts, as we saw moments ago, just pop up at random in your head. You can't control them. Later on, I will demonstrate to you exactly. You can see it for yourself. What you can do, though, is you can give some thoughts attention, and you can ignore other thoughts. And that's where the power resides. You can allow the flow to continue here and not stop it up. Just thank you for sharing. Shut up and sit down. Over time, as you do that, the thoughts of your ego, the thoughts that do not serve you, the thoughts that tell you, you can't do this practice, you can't meditate, you can't, just fill in the blank. That is not a true thought. That's just a thought that propagates itself. And that's what thoughts want to do. They want to make more of themselves. I'm going to finish with this. There is something in your biological body right now called homeostasis. How many of you are familiar with the term homeostasis? Homeostasis is just a technical term that says the body is in balance and it is working to keep itself that way. And it does that with billions of processes every second, every minute of your day, of your life, it's constantly making sure your temperature stays this place here, you're breathing the right amount, your heart is beating correctly, just literally billions, down to the cellular level. Homeostasis. If everything is working well, homeostasis is one of the greatest gifts to any life. Because you don't do it, it just is. It's miraculous. If scientists were to try to create homeostasis, believe me, they have a long way to go, even from having a helicopter on Mars. We have a helicopter on Mars. You all know that, right? Okay, I thought maybe I woke up dreaming or something. But anyway, so if you will allow the self that you are to use your divine beingness as that, to be a witness to your thoughts, you will be able to say in some way, I don't know about, I can't do this. I can't get hired. I want to go on a date with this person, but they won't return my call. It never happens. Always watch out for words like never, always, those. These are all ego words that keep you where you are. It's a mental homeostasis. If you have a physical homeostasis, it gets out of whack, you have AIDS. It's immune disease. If you have mental homeostasis that gets out of whack, you're not a happy camper. You can be anywhere from deeply mentally ill to just, nothing ever works for me. Oh, that's a thought. All right. Self-inquiry is very simple. We're going to see it in a little bit. So that's the whole story I wanted to give you. And I will close with this story because it involved that first word, let. So much in our lives is not just about non-resistance. It's about allowing the flow to be, getting out of your own way, getting out of the way of nature, getting out of the way of it. There's a flow already there, and it works pretty good without us. About 20 years ago, my wife Jane and I were talking about having a child. After a while, we stopped talking about it, and So what happens then is time goes by, and how many of you have been through this process? You've all been through it because some of you were born, right? All right. But here's the whole thing. It wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. One morning at about 4:30 in the morning, my wife Jane, she's right there, she woke me up, and she was in pain. Now, this is not a complainer. You ask her how she is, her answer will always be, okay. You have to go, no, on a scale of 1 to 10, okay? I still ask her, how you doing? And she still says, okay. We've been married 31 years. However, she was really in trouble. Off to the hospital we went. To make a long story short, I know it's too late for that. To make a long story short, hysterectomy, endometriosis, no baby. So a little while later, we started thinking about adopting. And a neighbor of ours, who I was also a business partner with, in their family, a child became available. A young girl, 1 year old, 9 months. And we just knew of this because they are friends and neighbors of ours. And they decided to adopt it. The state of Colorado wants to place a child within the family somewhere first. And then they'll start looking for us. As it turned out, it didn't work out well, and so they asked us. I answered the phone one day, and it was my friend Steve, and he said, because we babysitted. It was a beautiful girl. We loved babysitting for her and all that. You want this kid? I have had people go through much more giving away a puppy. But that was what he said. Well, come and get her. I've had enough. All she does is scream. And all of his complaints were basically what babies do. Mom worked, he stayed home. So, that didn't work out. We went through some processes. We ended up having her and then adopting her. She's now 20 years old. Our daughter Anna, we love her very much. But we were told along the way how difficult it all was going to be. First of all, it's going to be impossible without a womb. You need a womb usually. Well, if you're going to adopt, boy, that's a lot. It's expensive. There are test tube kind of things you can do. You can rent a womb. I understand them. They have at Walmart now. You can, there's all kinds of things you can go through to get a child. And they're all expensive and really a pain in the butt. I answered the phone. I didn't say no. My point in telling you this story is that we look back sometime later. And now, don't get me wrong. There were times when I wanted to give her back. I don't want you to think that, this was all wonderful. But we look back at it sometime, and I think my wife pointed out to me. She said, that phone call came exactly 9 months, like to the day, after my surgery. This is the kind of stuff you read about in the Bible, right? These kind of stories. She's 147 years old. She can't have a baby. There you go. Now, I literally would take 4 or 5 hours to complete this talk if I told you all of the things in my life that have happened since I let become a part of my life. There's a wonderful book called The Surrender Experiment. If you haven't read it, get it and read it. And again, if it doesn't mean anything to you, it's one more book you don't read. But it was one of those life-changing things for me. And it's a practice. Over the years, I got better at not doing anything. It's really good work if you can get it. So I want to leave you with that. This process is a letting process. It is not a doing process. This process of self-inquiry, all it does is enable you to recognize the you that is already there. Your thoughts are not important. Being able to see them is critical. So thank you very much. I think I've told you more than I know about all of this. I would also recommend, for those who are learning about allowing and things like that, the movie, The King's Speech. How many of you have seen that movie, The King's Speech? There's a lot going on in that movie. But if you'd like to, afterwards here, we will have a Q&A in the historic library, right? Okay, so thank you for, I only intended to talk for 20 minutes, so that's why I brought my timer. So have a marvelous and enchanting remainder of the day. Would love to see you up there. And again, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank the board. Thank everybody for inviting me up here. And have a marvelous and enchanting remainder of the day.
Thank you, Shaun. Well, and is this your pen? And with the program that you received when you entered, as a nod to a lot of what Shaun was talking about, we have Althea's statement of being. And this is a nod to our history. And then we'll have a reading from Judith, and then we will pass around the plate. So, God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. Is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. We are individualized expressions of God and are ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
This is a reading from Jane Cobb, who used to be a former minister here at when it was the First Divine Church of Denver. And it's from her book, The Mind is Like the Sky. Human consciousness, of course, exceeds the consciousness of a rock by almost infinite number of degrees. And likewise, a cell's consciousness infinitely exceeds that of a virus. And a virus's consciousness exceeds that of an atom, and so on. But consciousness pervades all that is. It is also the medium in which everything exists, and it connects everything in a cosmic communication system. When it comes to your consciousness and mine, what we mean by consciousness includes, at a minimum, all awareness of the body and awareness through the body's senses, all the emotions, all the facilities of intellect, the power to focus attention, the powers of analysis and synthesis, all cognitive processes such as comparison and contrast and inductive and deductive thinking, the almost magical abilities of intuition and imagination, and much more. Ponder again the passage from Ephesians. The science of psychology didn't exist in the New Testament, neither did the word consciousness. Paul uses the word God. But see how the passage reads if the word consciousness is substituted. One consciousness which is above all and through all and is in you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Before we pass the plate, we do have Michael Stanwood again. We don't want to miss that. Come on up, Michael. Thank you.
Especially with the intention as a healing
Thank you, Michael. My gosh. Ah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now it's time to open up your hearts into the infinite. So if the ushers would please, infinite abundance, start passing around the plates. And we'll get some music going from Rick. Ushers, when you're done, if you bring your offering baskets to the front, and we'll have a blessing from Judith.
Mother, Father, Creator of all, we offer these gifts of service, time, and financial support to the growth sustainability of this center. May we grow in community and create a peaceful space that lifts us up to experience the divine vision and love which is offered here. Amen.
Thank you very much. Well, before we conclude with a community song, there are a few announcements, and I neglected at the beginning of the service to mention our altar here, which is always beautifully put together by Barbara Vale. And if you come back next week, or if you're unfamiliar with this, if you're new, it's a place where you can place an object that you would like blessed through the service to absorb the energy and the love and the heart through the service. So please take advantage of it. Just remember to take it home with you when you leave. There are other ways to donate to us. We do have, you can become an evergreen supporter, which is a monthly deduction. Dip jars in the back where you can use your credit card, debit cards. We also are involved with King Soopers, the community organization donation, which with every purchase, as well as Amazon has a program very similar to that. It's called Smile.Amazon. So please, please give away. On the back of your program, there are some announcements here. We do have opportunities for volunteers. Always, we need people to put on these wonderful services. So if you would like to be a part of that and be of service and give your heart, please see Sarma in the back, our Sergeant at Arms. And also we have a community outreach program where if you need something, a trip to a doctor's office or grocery store, delivery, or etc., something like that, again, please contact Sarma. Our classes, we have a gong back that's coming up in August 22nd. Open full moon ritual, that's going to be on Friday, August 20th. There's a healing meditation and energy awareness group or a meeting. This is going to be run by Reverend Suzanne Hunt, and that's going to be every Tuesday night. And then we have Community Connections, which is a weekly meeting, and that's run by Kathy Humphreys, who uses her heart and soul to put together a great topic for connecting to the community. So that's your busy work, busy classes for the week. What else? Let's see, what else? We have affirmative prayer. If you are in need of an affirmative prayer, we have Connie and Mike are going to be back here in the prayer room. They'll be available. I encourage you to take advantage of that. And what other announcements am I missing? Coffee and tea, yes. If you're so inclined, we have coffee and tea, and it looks like there's some chocolate and some goodies back there, so please take advantage of that. And do, though, take it outside. We're trying to keep socially distanced again and wearing masks, and I know some of you didn't get the memo, but you know that's why we're not having lunch. Yes? And that's the 19th, right? Thursday? If you would like to be a part of directing where Althea is going in the future, we are having our third visioning meeting Thursday, the 19th of August. It's a Zoom class. I believe it's at 6:30. This will be read by Reverend Arika King and Reverend Mary Jo Honiotis. So please, if you haven't made the first two, that's okay. Everyone's welcome. It's a great way to be a part of the ongoing evolution of the Althea Center for Engaged Spirituality. Let's see. I think it's time for thanks before we get to the community song. And we'll do a closing prayer. So thank you to each and every one of you for coming today and sharing your time with us. Yes, Dick? I believe the deep dive starts at 12:15, right? I think that's, is that okay with you? Yeah, I think it's 12:15. And that's going to be in our library here. So thank you to everyone. Thanks to Michael, once again. Where is he? It's always fun to see what he comes up with. Thank you to Shaun Furlong for a wonderful message. Thanks to our volunteers, to everyone who puts on this service. Thank you all. And let's have a closing prayer, and then we'll have our community song.
So as we have come together in the wholeness of this moment, I now invite you to close your eyes and to just be present, to really be present to that one mind, that one source, that one absolute beingness. For it is all that we are. It is that movement of energy that has brought together this community, each and every one that has shared this service. It is the life that is within us. And so as we let that energy flow through us, as us, we accept and know that that power for good is ever present in all that we do, all that we say, all that we think, all that we feel. We are open and receptive to that flow. And so it is in gratitude that we say thank you. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, for the gift of life for the gift of beingness, for the gift of joy, for the gift of community. We are one. And so it is in that oneness that we release and let go and let it be. It is done, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Connie. All right, it's time for our community song. But before that, one more little bit of business to take care of. For those of you who know Susan Stites, she is leaving us. But we wish her well. And we know that she's going to greener pastures with an exciting future ahead of her. But I'd like to take this opportunity, as well as the board, to acknowledge her and to present her with this token of our esteem and our love for everything that she has done for the past 2.5 years. Probably feels like 22 years to her, and putting up especially with the board, and especially Catherine McKay, who's so difficult to work with. And so Susan, step forward, please. Let's give her a rousing. Yes, thank you. All right, now it's time for our community song. Let's see, where's my papers? So, Christopher, if you want to come on up. Christopher Weatherall is our vocalist for today, in addition to Michael Stanwood. He performs at Althea. He's a proud Black non-binary entertainer, singer, writer, who is passionate about sharing insight through the power of performance. Please welcome Christopher.
So when I was choosing the community song for today, I had just asked Daryl how I could be more involved in the community and help out with everything that was going on. And with the message, "Let Your Soul Soar," I thought that "Come Fly With Me" by Frank Sinatra would be a beautiful song to just kind of help us all find our center before we depart. There's so much transformation about right now. We're all going through our own journeys and changing, and we have to find a way to find our center and be one with ourselves amongst it all. So I hope you can sing with me and through that sort of find your own center. Once I get you up there, where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide, starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near. Angels cheer, 'cause we're together. Angels cheer, kites wheel together, weatherwise, it's such a lovely day. Just say the words and we'll beat the birds down to Rockaway Bay. It's perfect for a honeymoon. They say, come fly with me, let's fly away. Thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful day.